So, hi Rahul, welcoming you to this the Data C podcast. And I'm Sudhanshu, currently working as a business analyst at Newtest. And with us, we have Shrestha joining as the Data C. And he is working as a data and AI consultant at EY. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rahul. I am working currently with LTI Mindtree as a senior data scientist. Okay, and currently my domain is in banking. So I work with the enterprise AI team. So currently I am assigned to the banking part of things and working with the banking client. So yeah.
What is enterprise AI, by the way?
Right. So basically in LTI, there are different verticals. So since the last 5 years or something, there's a new vertical under LTI, which is Enterprise AI. Basically,
Okay.
this is the whole vertical which has the business analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineers, and we are on loan to another verticals or other projects who are doing this stuff. So it kind of becomes a managerial thing for LTI to manage the whole AI, pool, and we get loaned to different projects, work on different projects, come back to the pool. That's all.
So is it like you get to work with other companies and you build some AI applications for them?
Yep, yep, yep.
Is
We are
that
like the
what
vendors
we
for
can call enterprise AI?
right, right, right.
No,
So yeah,
yes.
even the internal tools and stuff, in the LTI Mindtree, whatever internal AI tools get built, everything, all those comes under enterprise AI tech stack as well.
No, an interesting observation that I had, in my company also, and with other folks that I talked to. So there are different set of tools when it comes to enterprises, other than the consumer side. For example, I can see when we look at the internet, people are using LangChain heavily, but when I look at the enterprise, they do not prefer LangChain sometimes, I believe. So they have. I remember one of my friend was working on semantic kernel. If you have heard about it.
Mhm.
So, is there actually a difference in between those tools when we build a solution in enterprises?
So this entirely depends upon business to business and client to client, because for me, my client is basically Citibank, so
Okay,
they are completely on the side of build everything ourselves. So we use LangChain heavily here.
okay,
So even for agents and stuff, we prefer LangChain plus LangGraph combination instead of going via N8N or other providers, which is like directly plug and play, because we
right.
get more flexibility, we get more control on our hand. And also, since everything will be built from scratch, and the developer knows from the base, in future if any issues arises or any security kind of questions comes up, we will be completely on control of it. So some clients prefer it this way, some clients want to dabble and get things to production fast, so they would prefer directly available tools and stuff. It's entirely client to client basis.
You mentioned about LangChain. What's your work exactly, if you can share?
Yeah, sure. So last, I think I almost have a work experience of 6.5 years now, right?
Okay,
The initial 4 years were completely into ML models, DL models, building them up, training them up, and all those things. And I kind of preferred that work. That was bit more lively, I would say. But over the last 2 years, the whole focus is in Gen AI. Everyone, since ChatGPT got launched, everyone was like, "This is what is AI." So the whole space got shifted into Gen AI, and then over the last 2 years, I am heavily working on Gen AI things. So mostly integrating with their APIs, building our own customized applications upon the available endpoints and providers, building agents, building chatbots using those endpoints, RAG based, tool based in that way.
can you see some ML use cases there? I mean, other than the Gen AI, are they doing things?
Currently, my client is completely focused on Gen AI. So there were another team which I think they believe they worked on some anomaly detection kind of thing. So that was an ML project which they completed. but mostly, yeah, the focus is now on Gen AI.
When it comes to Gen AI, so what do you think that the hype around AI or Gen AI tools is just like a old wine in a new bottle, or it's actually something is happening in the industry?
I guess there are use cases, but the thing is pointing the right use case with the right solution of Gen AI. So since the boom of Gen AI, the whole leadership, the top leadership,
Right.
they are completely like, we need to get into Gen AI, we need to embrace Gen AI, let's put Gen AI into everything. So that mindset, when that trickles down the management line till it reaches the lower level developers or project managers, at that time it's very hard to explain it to them, like, we do not maybe need to use Gen AI for this use case, or like this is not a right use case, because by that time things have already started rolling at their end. Now if we go and say like it's not a proper use case or good use case, no one gives you an ear. That's one thing. So that, I think, in turn builds up the hype, because once a leader starts doing this, another leaders follow, another companies follow, and that is how the whole bubble gets built up. Everyone wants to get into Gen AI, but they are not sure as to actually whether using that is right or not. So yeah, the bubble is,
Regarding,
but also the use cases are real.
you mentioned that you work into banking, right?
Yep, yep.
I heard in last calls also that banking is the sector which is least affected by Gen AI. Is it true? I mean, what type of use cases are there in banking?
It's not least affected, I would say, but yes, the use cases are a bit lesser compared to other domains, I would say. So if you see e-commerce,
Right,
e-commerce is a sector which is heavily affected by Gen AI. I think every third product you see, or may it be an ad or may it be a listing on Amazon or Flipkart, you would see the images are also AI generated now, the
correct.
captions are AI generated, even reviews are AI generated. So
Yes.
that's the sector which have been affected a lot, while compared to banking, everyone keeps their hand in their pocket. It's like that Three Idiots quote, "Hota sabke paas hai, छुपा के रखते हैं." Right? So everyone is not that ready to let Gen AI into that part of their life. So that's why banking is a slow moving sector in this way. But yeah, there are still use cases which uses Gen AI. So one of them is a banking or FAQ chatbot. So if you see, most of the companies have started adopting Gen AI through the customer service side first, right? So
Right.
there has already started accepting. Then it comes into training new hires and all those parts. So banking is a sector which is regulated very highly and has different set of rules, different set prefixed things that someone needs to follow. So someone coming in as a new hire to the team, which already has a set of processes, for them training that person is also a task. So a chatbot or like a kind of AI training buddy which understands the whole flow, which has the access to whole internal documentations, and side by side learns or helps that new hire learn. That is one of the use cases that is there in banking sector, right? And
Yesterday, I met a
some
guy.
automation parts as well. So extraction from different documents and putting it into another data spaces. So in banking, data flows from one part to different parts. So some internal processes are manual. Converting those manual processes into AI automated process is another use case. So there are use cases, but it's like a bit fewer compared to other domains.
I mean, one question here. For example, you mentioned like extracting some information and then maybe structuring it properly, right?
Correct, correct,
Is it not controlled? I mean, let's say if the documents are some PII documents, let's say.
correct,
Uh,
correct.
so in that case, is it like you send the data to AI or you encrypt it and then use, or you do not use at all?
Right. So in these cases, so there are mostly classification, different classifications. So there are customer PII, then there is very sensitive PII, and all those data classifications comes into picture. And one observation is whenever anything related to PII gets involved, nothing should ever be get sent out of the organizations. So in banking AI related space, you would see most of the LLM models or AI related things that you use that are on premises loaded. It's their own systems, and you use an open source models to run on your own systems and clusters, and they basically leave their endpoints open for you to access them. So we
Okay.
can't directly use OpenAI or Gemini endpoints for any of our use cases. It's mostly all internally hosted ones.
So you currently work with on-prem models only.
Yep. Mostly our focus are on Llama related models, Llama Instruct and Mixture models.
Nice. I think that's the reason I believe Llama is getting success, because other than that, I'm not seeing any use case of Llama as such.
Yes. I think
Right.
on-premises loading of Llama being an open source model, it helps these kind of use cases a lot.
I attended one event yesterday and I met a guy. He used to work with a banking organization, not essentially a bank, but an organization that support banks. And he mentioned the exact same thing, that AI is being adopted, but no one is telling it. Like, they're not bashing about it. Yeah, I'm using AI, I'm using that. So everyone is using, but no one is telling, in at least banking, that we are utilizing AI. So
Correct.
they were building some digital map of users. So for example, if I am let's say there's some my profile, they can track down that whatever purchase I've made in my entire lifetime. So they are doing that kind of work, and essentially they must be using some AI, but no one knows whether they do or not.
Correct.
So
So if you see, banking data is like a treasure trove, right? Because a 12 rupees chai that you are drinking at a nearby tapri of your locality or your workspace, to any kind of impulse purchases that you make late at night, all this data is basically linked to your bank. And with UPI adoption in India, it's like an entire treasure trove. If you are able to get insights from those data, and if you are able to provide a target group for some other companies for their purchases or their products, then that's basically a treasure trove. But again, the things comes into a bit of a borderline ethics kind of things as to is it a proper practice to do so. Some customers would I would actually prefer that if my data is getting anonymously used by some company to target ads or something to us, you let me know first of all. You take my permission first of all, only then you do anything with that, right? So that preference is very user to user centric.
do you think when a user gives the consent to use its data, the bank should allow and the bank should share this information? uh,
I guess if a user is fine with it, so some people like targeted ads and targeted purchases apparently. So there are some of us who likes to search for products, get whatever is right, read through thousand reviews and all. While some are like, I just want a sneaker, you show me a sneaker, I will buy that sneaker. That's it. So some people prefer those targeted approaches while others don't. So if their personal preference is letting, yes, let my banking provider or any other provider use my data and give me whatever I need, then it's user preference. But personally, I won't prefer that's all.
the reason I asked this question was because, let's say in healthcare, let's say if we are using AI and something happens, the question would be, who will be responsible for that? Is that the doctor? Is that the company, AI company, or
Right.
will that be the hospital? But when it comes to banking, let's say if something happens to you, I believe, not exactly, maybe some loss or fraud, maybe using AI, then who will be the responsible guy? I mean, will that be the AI company, that the company which built the model?
Right,
Will
right.
that be the
So
company which is hosting
that's
that model?
that's the question of the decade currently, because all of the AI laws that are being written, all these centers around this particular question: who is the liable party? Because
Right.
initially it was simple. If Sudhanshu is at a company, he is developing something, and that company provided service to someone else, and something went wrong. So directly the question gets asked upon who is the service provider of this. It's this company. Okay, in this company, who developed this? It's Sudhanshu. He's the one to blame. It's clear. But now with Gen AI, it's like Sudhanshu, even though he is developing it, the tools that he is using to develop that is on lending from another company, right? Which is trained on data from n different companies and n different sources. So
Right.
when if you want to point it to someone, it's not easy to point at all. So everyone is kind of like, it's not our blame, and there is no one to blame. So that's the whole centric point of
Um,
responsible AI in the age of Gen AI. Like, who is the person who needs to take an ownership of it?
a smart answer that a guy gave to this question was a lawyer will decide who is liable for that.
Right. And for the lawyer to decide, the politician should decide,
Yes.
and for the politicians to decide, whoever fills his bank, that industrial should do it. So that's the whole circle that's completely been happening right now.
Right. So let's talk about that. You write a lot of things on LinkedIn. Okay, you comment on a lot of posts. You are trying to
Yeah.
actually
Sudhanshu tracks you.
I see most of his likes and comments on my comments and posts. It's really fun.
yeah, it comes around. So when I see a post and you commented on someone, so you are trying to expose some people or who are just selling these courses and all. So
Right.
when we talk about like uh, people, especially people in LinkedIn and in India, like this FAANG worship. Okay, people get into a FAANG. Okay, right now it's Mang or Mango, Game and whatever. I'm not sure,
Have
but
Have you heard about this PORN stack?
What's that? What are all those?
I'll tell you after this. So it's basically, I believe, the AI stack for the product. So PG vectors, OpenAI, and RN is same React Native.
Wow. That's nice.
so
No
when you
jokes.
see this FAANG people, okay, uh, and you will see mostly who are just got into the job, like just joined, not even a like 1 year or 2 year experience. They just get into the job. Then they start posting things, and when you see the post, even in Twitter, X currently, or in Instagram or in LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn, that the post will always be about some normal things, some random PS talking about that, how I got into this, because I did DSA. Okay, how I did DSA, that's not clear. What was the planning and all, that's not clear. And at the end, you can also do from this course coder or any other academy, and you can do this course and you will get access, and you can also join FANGs. And then they post a picture and then they get likes and thousands, because people who are in like second year, third year, they don't actually know the
They get
reality.
influenced. Obviously.
Right,
Yeah.
they will definitely get influenced, because that's how we have been like came into this first JE race. Okay, first marks race in school. Then we got ourselves into JE, that we should prepare to get into IITs, and then we should get into Google or Meta, Microsoft kind of things. So, what are your
Correct.
thoughts on this? Will it
Yeah.
ever stop or will not?
So mostly, see, there are, in the sea of all these influences, there are some who stand out, who actually give you all these, valuable insights and valuable things you need to look upon when you are searching for a job and all those things. But majority of them, as you said, are someone who just got into all these, hyped up companies, or someone who got into those companies, spent 6 months. In those 6 months, I don't know, even they even got to work on a project or did their training, and they
Right.
left that, and they just put a headline of X Meta, X Google, and X all these things, and then start selling courses like, this is how I went in. That may not be the, there is a simple way you can see. So most of these posts, like you said, all these BS posts and all these, heart touching stories written about it, and at the end they'll be like, this is the company that helped me. Apparently that company was set up 3 months ago. The domain that you are sharing, that was set up 3 months ago. You left
Right.
Google 3 years ago. How did that
Right.
company even help you when they were even not even set up, and
Right.
these questions we ask because we are not on focus, or like we are not currently looking into these tech stacks and to get into a job. But for someone who is just out of college, or in the last year of their college, for them finding a job or like getting into these companies, that is their whole focus currently. So
Right.
because that's the only path they can see, and for these people these heart touching posts are apparently really heart touching. So that's the point where these influenza attacks. So if I call these people as influenzas, not
Right.
influencers.
Right.
So whenever these fake people start predating on these students, or like new age people, or someone who is changing their domain into data and stuff, that feels really bad, and I call those people out as fast as I can, with.
Right.
And my only question is, if you are selling whatever you are selling, you sell it with proof. If you have a course, and if 10 people have took your course, out of those 10, if you are able to help two of them, I am pretty sure those two people would be happy to come and comment under your post, like, I have took this post, I have took this course, whatever is said in this post is true, I can give you proof of like my journey. It's as simple as that. Two people's
Right.
proof can basically outlive your whole hyped up posts and stuff. So if you are actually selling quality content, you don't need to make up these fake stories and stuff to sell these up. That's my view on those people.
Great. When we talk about data science, so the one title came, yeah, in 2018 or 19 something, not sure, that the sexiest job on the planet,
Right,
the
right.
data science role, right? So
Sexiest
before
job of
AI,
20th century.
yeah, sexiest job of 21st century.
Right,
So everyone like got hyped with data science. Okay, and right now when I see, right, I guess after AI, some things have changed. The hype has came down a bit, but still, the data roles are very hyped up right now. So, what do you want to tell that? What's the hard truth actually when doing a job? It's not that you are building models in the big from the beginning. It's not that you're gonna get a 50 lakh rupees package in the beginning,
correct.
and it's not actually the glorified work people always say and then do.
Right, right. So that again comes on these hype parts. Like, there are jobs that really pay well, but those jobs pay well for the actual skill sets that you bring into the table. So coming just out of college, getting into data science and thinking that you will be landing 30 plus LPA of package, that's something all these hyped up people are selling courses and putting into your mind. That's not realistic at all. While at the same time, let's say you're someone who have been so enthusiastic that uh, second year, third year, you have created your own SLM models and stuff. I know a guy who have trained his own SLM model, and he deployed it on Raspberry Pi. So these kind of skill sets that goes into more of the R&D end of things, and someone who has that ability to do something, spin something up new. So
Right.
on premise models, like on your devices, those kind of things, that's what the industry actually wants and has a very few skill set of. Those jobs will pay you really good. But expecting a simple job which most people lands on to pay that much for a skill set that's very common across the pool of available candidates, that's not something that happens. And also the sentence, like, the sexiest job of 21st century, this everyone feels like okay, once I get the data science title and I start working, it will be the sexiest job I do as well. But it's not at all like that. most of the time, you will be cleaning data, because
Right.
for
90% of the
AI,
time.
right, because for AI, ML, all these applications, it's a clear path. You put garbage in, garbage would be out. So the main part is whatever you are putting in, you need to clean it in such a great way that you can actually build stuff upon those data to give meaningful output from those models. So 90% of the task is data cleaning and all those boring part of things. Even if when you are having a cake, you need to first get the ingredients, bake the cake, wait for the cake to get ready. All these are the boring stuff, but everyone talks about just that moment when they cut the slice and just put it in their mouth. That's 1% of the whole flow, while all the other boring aspects is 99% of the flow. So the job is
Right.
simply like that. Any job for that matter, but in AI side it's a bit more.
One question, Rahul.
Yes.
So, one of my friend was giving interview related to machine learning these days, and he came across the question of architecture. So, people generally ask us, maybe let's say start with transformers, maybe or any other architecture. The
Yeah.
question is, are they actually using this information in the real job? I mean, let's say if a guy knows architecture, is that helpful when they
Right.
look for a guy, or is it not? Let's say you are the interviewee, then what would you do? Interviewer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there are some people who comes from really tech background. So the person that I said, right, if that person with those skill set, he goes 5 years 6 years down the line and he is taking an interview, he would also have an expectation that the person working with him at least has 50 percentage of the skill set and the underlying working knowledge of those things that they will be using, right? They are more
Right.
into a research kind of mindset. So these
Okay.
people expect others to also have those skill sets, which is very rare to have and very vague expectation to have from a candidate. For me, so I have conducted interviews over my last 3 years, right? So I have always been of the preference that you need to know what to use, when to use, right? So
Right.
you actually don't need to know the exact mathematical workings and all those stuff, but while uh, you know while you are given access to 10 different tools, you need to know which tool works in what way. For example, let's say for a simple use case, if I am giving you Llama instruct model and a mixtural model, you should at least know the difference between those two models architecture. Like, why is it mixed model? Like, is it a mix of different models working, ranking each other's
Yeah.
answers and giving out a final output, or is it just an instruct based dataset trained model which would more importantly work on instruct kind of inputs rather than a vague input? So if the use case is more of the side of instruction kind of thing, so you are trying to automate some things, you would more be preferred into an instruct kind of things, because then you could prompt it in an instructive way, like what you want, you'll get proper output from output. While if the use case is more of a wide array of things, wide different aspects of the business coming into the picture, you would prefer to a mixture kind of model. So those internal workings, you don't need to know the mathematical flow and each data point that gets passed on where, but you need to have an high level understanding of what to use and when to use. you know so if you are driving a car, you don't need to know the working of the internal IC combustion engine, right? But
Right.
you should at least know what would happen if the crankshaft gets broken. So that
Right.
level of understanding is needed. But to drive a car, what is actually happening with the fuel inside the engine, that doesn't come into picture at all. But you should know what and how of the overview of things, so you can get by and select what is needed when it is needed.
Let's say if I am someone with currently 2 years of experience, and let's say I'm applying for some ML or AI related roles these days,
Correct.
then what would be the topics that I should specifically put more focus on, and what is something that companies would expect that this guy should already know?
Correct, correct. So mostly right now the companies are into Gen AI things, right? But the thing is for Gen AI as well, mostly they are text based, LLMs and those kind of use cases. There are some use cases on the image and video generation parts as well, but the 80% of adoption comes in the text based LLM models, right?
Right.
For that you also need to have an understanding of tokenizers, how they work, how the words get tokenized and all. So the basics of NLP, the foundation and everything lies under the NLP related foundations. You would start with BERT. At least you should know the in and out of how a BERT model actually
Right.
takes words in, converts those into numbers and gets it out as an probabilistic output. That understanding you should have. So that is what a company would also expect, because anyone could link an external API from OpenAI or anything and give it a prompt and get it as an output. All these 50 lakh jobs that prompt engineers are apparently promised, right? That anyone can do, but customizing it, that is where the skill set actually comes in. So for someone who is currently looking to get into data science kind of jobs and all those, they should have their foundations built with all the previous skill sets which were needed before the Gen AI advance. Because Gen AI is just like a cherry on top of the cake. You should still have the cake and the ingredients for the cake so that that cherry stays on the top. It doesn't directly go in when some pressure comes up. So those foundations from the basic machine learning models, probabilistic models, stochastic models, the statistics of things, those are the foundations, the NLP related foundations of tokenizers, how like POS tagging and NER tagging happens. All these things are the foundations of things, and then you build upon your Gen AI skill sets. Just get to know the different architectures that are available. You do not need to go so deep into all the mathematical foundations and stuff, but know like what are the fundamental difference of a model that is used by different companies. Like what is the fundamental difference between Llama models and the models that are released from China, right? How are they able to perform so well? What are the differences in the architecture which helps them to provide that kind of performance? So that high level information is needed. That's what companies would expect.
Got it.
Right. So, if I have to summarize it, go with the machine learning basics, deep learning, basically neural networks, RNN, CNN, how BERT works, and then NLP concepts. Then you can jump on to like transformer architecture
Correct.
and encoder decoder, and
Correct.
basically then all others like open source models are there. And if you want to get deep on that, how DeepSeek works and how Llama works, kind of things. So
Correct.
the base starts from ML and NLP.
Correct. So even I think the base should actually start from Excel. So Excel analytics, Excel, Python, SQL are your bread and butter. So on top of Excel, Python, and SQL, you would learn some statistics and probability, so that down the line you actually know how those transformers architecture works. Then all those things which Sudhanshu said.
What tools do you majorly use these days?
Yeah. So for me, in my current client setup, everything is, as I said, they want on-prem. So mostly it's like Python, SQL, and the libraries for agentic flow like LangChain, LangGraph, and some vector databases, right? So yeah, that's the text flow that we currently use.
Okay.
There are some internal data sets and stuff, and as I said, the models are internally hosted, right? So we
Right.
also need to dabble a lot on OpenShift and Redshift clusters and stuff, so we can handle the deployments as well from our end. So yeah.
Do you use OpenShift AI
No,
or
no. OpenShift in the side, OpenShift of the container side, deployment side, Redshift kind of thing. So for the AI kind of things, mostly everything is internally hosted, and we are not at all able to use OpenAI, Gemini, or any kind of other service providers as of now. Yeah. But in our previous companies, we have used many different providers. So in my e-commerce related projects that I did with the previous company, there we were free to use anything. The prototyping used to happen on Google Colab actually. Then we used to bring it up into our personal laptops and training and all those stuff.
So we are still using Google Colab and Jupyter notebooks when deploying projects.
Right, right. I have worked with companies where we have folders of different collab notebooks of final, last final.
Okay,
Uh,
so
the,
what kind of open source model perform well? Like definitely if we say that from OpenAI or from Google, but what about uh, like current open source model? They are with par to source model or not still that good?
So it again comes very into the actual use cases that you are using. So in our case, we are using open source models for one of the automation tasks, wherein the open source models itself, there are competition between them as well. So in some cases, the Llama instruct model works best for those automated flow, while for a RAG based chatbot, we have seen that mixtural open source models work best. So it always depends upon the underlying data that you are building up, because instruct models, they work better with more of a structured kind of data approach. So when you are trying to automate a flow wherein you need to extract different things and put it into another flow, there these instruct models, open source models, comes into picture. While for a chatbot, as I said, it's very diverse set of data that it will be seeing. In those cases, mixtural models work best. So yeah, it's always, so it's very hard to, even if you see all these leaderboards where they rank different
Leaderboards.
models, you would see n number of comments below those same leaderboards saying that the one at the top, it's not performing well for my use case at all. So
yeah,
it's always on the actual task that you are trying to solve, which model or what underlying architecture to use.
I
So you
think
can.
LM Sys is one of the leaderboards, I believe. LM Sys. Have you heard about it?
No, no, it's something new, I guess. Yeah. There are n number of leaderboards as well. you know, I have also seen Chinese companies build up their own leaderboards where their models are at the top.
And there's so much hype and so much problematic views as well when it comes to benchmarking and an LLM scoreboards, because sometimes they say that they train on a specific data and then they go for the benchmarking and all, like math, ML, or some other more score benchmarks are there.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not sure, like there's something which is totally non-partial and then benchmarks all the models.
Yeah, yeah. I think there are very few benchmarkings or stuff which actually helps you to decide on what model to use for your use case. I have always seen it best to use those models, check what best works for your use case, and then go with that. I have never been a fan of leaderboards.
One question here: do we use any cloud providers in banking sector?
So mostly, like in banking, yeah, I have seen it's all on-prem. So whatever the cloud providers, they have a deal with, mostly it's Azure or with the AWS.
Yeah.
They use up those providers. But in other domains, it's always, most of the time it's like whatever. So even when you use a vector database, instead of going for a hosted PG vector database, people directly prefer going for Pinecone. So you already have the whole setup, you just take it up as a SaaS model from them with some storage on loan from them, use it
Yeah.
up for your use case. So that also depends a lot on companies to companies on what kind of data they work with. But yes, so the cloud part comes into picture a lot. Mostly all of the hardwares and stuff, it's always on the cloud. Even if it is on prem, it is privately hosted from some company for you.
Okay, I mean, for example, you mentioned, let's say I have to host my Llama model, and for that, are we using the compute from Azure or AWS, or is it like servers in
Yes, yes.
on-prem?
So it's mostly on, loan from these cloud providers itself, be it Azure, be it AWS or Google Cloud. They also have an opportunity. They also have an option where they give it privately hosted to you. Like most of the cloud services, if you see, it's shared across different
Yeah,
organizations and stuff, right? You also have a premium offering from them where the compute and system, everything is from their end, right? But it's completely private to you. If you need to add on some more compute powers and stuff, everything would be provided to you, but it's entirely private to you. So it's still hosted at their end and maintenance and stuff happens at their end, but they have zero visibility to the data or the stuff that you do on your cloud. So it's like how US government or our own governments also take this stuff up from them on loan. Mostly it's the data centers are also in your own continent or inside your own country as well, so that the data doesn't even flow across different country borders. So those offerings come into picture when you are handling private data, and the models and stuff, when you host it on your cloud providers, you would mostly take it as a private cloud offering from them. But still, hard server based, when you where you buy those servers and then host it on prem, that is very rare. Yeah,
I think I remember Ola Kruthrim also launched their own cloud services, I believe, a
yeah, Krutim AI, yeah.
few years back, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Last
not
year,
sure.
I guess.
Yes. So they were offering the same offering as Azure or AWS, I believe, but I'm not sure if you've seen that. But someone revealed that they were using AWS. They themselves were using AWS instead of using their own cloud.
Their own cloud. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So Crew always, they know how to wrap the chocolate up in their own wrapper and branding and sell it. The chocolate might be from Cadbury, but they know how to wrap it in their branding.
have you invested in Ola?
And never, never. Ola and Adani shares are the ones which I stay far away from.
We got
What
one
about
stock recommendation.
Zomato and Swiggy? I have invested something on Zomato. Right now, it's giving me benefits, but I'm not sure how much time it will.
I remember I bought Zomato when it was launched. I think in 2022 or three, maybe I believe. But then I sold it immediately, and now it's at I think 100% to 200% rise.
Right,
Right.
right. It is. I have bought right now. I'm getting around 30%. So last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, we
One thing that I was checking on your LinkedIn that you have switched few companies in the past.
Hmm.
right.
What was the reason of switching multiple companies? Is that the money
Yeah.
only or
So,
anything else?
see, initially, I believe the starting three or 4 years of your career, that's when you get to dabble in lot of different domains, a lot of different tech stacks, and you get to see different work cultures in different places, right? And
Right.
then you need to decide on what actually interests you, what is the field or the domain that you feel like gives the most back to the community. So that's what. So Hexaware, I had literally got that from from my campus placements. I had no
क्या
choice
बोल रहे
as
हो?
to what projects or what domain I would go into. It's purely
Correct.
luck,
Yeah.
right? Then I went on to work for a gaming based company, right? The main reason that I joined there was a manager who took my interview. He was from Disney actually. So he completed 8 years or something in Disney UK, and he was a data analytics manager there. I was of the perspective like I will get to learn a lot from him, right? So, and that's the time when I also made a shift from a corporate Hexaware kind of setup into a startup kind of setup, because I felt like things are very slow in corporate. you know.
Correct.
And when we are young, we need something that's like fast and keeps me challenging, on my toes and all those. So at that fire, I changed those companies as my, first jump from a corporate to startup. So the thing was, the mistake that I made there was, I didn't research the company properly, right? I was pulled because of the gaming setup, because of the manager who I'll be reporting to and all those, while the social impact of a real money gaming sector, I was only exposed to when I started working in that company, the founders and the other people, they are of the opinion like, you need to follow the seven sins of Bible to keep the player engaged, put him in greed, make him so addicted to the game that he is playing that he keeps on giving you money. So those mindsets, those values, that didn't sit right with me, so that's when I made a shift from there into another HR technical company. So that was out of Hyderabad. So still I didn't want to come back home as of yet, because I still wanted to experience different cultures. So Chandigarh culture is completely a different vibe from what I was grown up in Mumbai here, right? Then when I went to Hyderabad, I was sort of like, since I'm a South Indian, I'm from Kerala actually. So I was like, since it's on the southern part of side, maybe I would be able to adjust more with the culture there. But Hyderabad is a place that I found very, very hostile, to be like true, So in Mumbai, you embrace everyone. Mumbai, Gurgaon, these cities, they embrace people coming from different areas. They make them their own. They are here to build with us. That's the mentality they take. But Chennai, Hyderabad, these are a bit hostile cities which I have seen there. They are mostly in preference to their own people, and those, the division, that's very apparent, that's very non-conductive to your work environment as well. So I started learning Telugu as well there. So I speak a bit Telugu as well. So that whole experience made me understand that it's best, whatever I have seen in Mumbai, that's what is best. So from there, I made a jump back into Mumbai. Then I was almost having around 5 years of technical experience, and the job that I got in Mumbai, that was more of like a half managerial role and half technical tech stack role. I again, I wanted to experience what the management side of things feel like, whether if I am ready for that management kind of things. So there I spent almost a year, I guess. The thing was, I still had a lot of tech left in me, and these managerial side of thing, that gets to you. There are a lot of responsibilities that you need to handle, along with just taking on the projects and doing the hands-on coding part of things. You also need to handle a lot of upper management, your team, their leaves and everything. Those things, it feels small at the starting, like approving leaves is one thing, but then when you start doing it for 6 months, 8 months, if you don't get a hang of it, and you start missing your hands-on coding more compared in your daily work life, so that's what happened with me. So I was more of like, I think I need to shift back into an individual contributor role. So that's why I made again another shift into LT, and here it's almost, I think, almost 1.5 years now. And and I am also back in the domain that I started in Hexaware. I was in banking domain. I did gaming. I did HR technical domain. I did e-commerce. Then I'm back into banking, because after dabbling in all the different setups, all the different cities, all the different domain, now I know what I like, what I am content in doing, and what matters in giving back to the society kind of thing. Also, what's good for my own mental health. So the initial jumps and stuff, all these you can do during your initial career, the starting 4 years. That's where you can dabble on all these different things, and finally understand what you are actually liking to do. Then you go on with that, and work is not just part of it, right? It's just a part of your life. When there are other aspects like marriage, your family planning, all those things comes into picture. by that time at least the work part needs to be a bit secured, and you should know what you are liking to do, what domain you like, what preferences you have regarding your work experiences. When those things are aligned, then you can, work goes in a smooth way and you can plan on other parts of your life. So the initial 5 years is where you need to keep jumping, and the additional perk, as you said, from the salary, that comes as a perk with the
Right.
experiences.
So suppose that like you comment a lot on post and some most of the times they're not considered LinkedIn professional comments. Okay,
I
I'm
I
using this word.
I put LinkedIn as, the cousin of Reddit who wears a tie and coat.
Right, right, right. So let's suppose someone new to your LinkedIn profile, okay, means someone goes and sees and all. So would it actually matter to your career?
I think, the companies and stuff that I call out mostly, when the real gaming ban came up, I spoke up a lot regarding those issues, because I have seen firsthand how those companies operate, what are the values that bring into table, and how they affect the life of different people. And the government itself took a step in that direction. So I know the views that I was having in my end, that was somewhere on the right track. You know so initially, when I used to put up those comments, I used to face a lot of backlash from the founders, their co-founders of those companies that I worked with, right? At that time I still stood strong on my belief. I am someone who, if I am making a comment or if I am saying something or some view about the stuff that I am putting up on LinkedIn, I have good backing of the data and my experiences to back what I have said. So I always make sure that whatever I say or comment, that don't offend someone on the personal level. But if what they are preaching is against the values and I have something which backs what I want to say, then I put it.
Right. Because after the ban came in this online gaming industry, basically real money gaming. So I was seeing a lot of posts from people out of nowhere that okay, the CEO CEO hasn't has not said anything on the topic. He is supporting his work. He is supporting his colleagues. He is giving them salaries and all. He didn't. Uh, I guess, laid off anyone and all. And those posts were coming out of nowhere. Like the person is not even related to that company. He doesn't have any experience in that field. Uh, so I guess it was all paid promotion and also I
Yeah.
guess that's
Mostly, the social media state right now, it's in a very weird state. So if you see, like, I think Sudhanshu, I saw a comment from him today afternoon on LinkedIn, like all of the posts are currently about the H1B visas. One person, as soon as the post or something gets traction, everyone else starts copying them. Almost the same content, the same thing. I feel like most of them, just copy paste it, put it into Gemini or ChatGPT. They are like rewrite in different format, and they copy
right,
paste it and put it as a post. So it's very rare to see someone's actual personal experience based views in their posts. That's very rare to see, right?
right.
So yeah, that bombarding happens a lot on all of the social media platforms. It was a bit less in LinkedIn, but over the last 2 3 years, LinkedIn has also become like any other social media, actually.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about X because whenever I think that I should start writing or I should being active more on X after 20 minutes of scrolling, I was like bombarded with the things, especially with Elon Musk and then AI tools. And I was like, a 15-year-old kid is earning uh, $1 million per day or something. What kind of things? Like I just come back. Like still LinkedIn is because I have created my feed and I'm follow some genuine people who write good stuff and all. Also, when it comes to networking, so what are your thoughts that most of the networking is how much it is genuine and how much it is just humble bragging and just connecting for commenting on each other post and just
That
liking each
that
other stuff.
Right. So I actually got an invite to one of the WhatsApp groups actually that had, I think, somewhere around 10K 12K members in their WhatsApp group. The only purpose of that group is, once you make a LinkedIn post, you share the link of that post into that group. Everyone else from that group, doesn't matter from what background or what industry they come from, they'll just go and comment under your post, great work, great job, amazing, thanks for sharing. Like that feels very fake kind of engagement farming thing that happens. And I don't see the point in those. So I like to connect mostly with those people who, instead of going with the flow kind of post, they post something that actually comes from their experiences, and like they are actually trying to give back to the community, those kind of things. And someone, if they, as I said, is promoting courses or stuff, I directly unfollow them. While
Right.
if there are some people who are promoting their own posts, their own courses which they have launched and stuff, I first go and look into the comments and stuff, like at least one person have they benefited from this course by taking. If I have launched a course, there are 10,000 students enrolled in my course, if I say in that way, at least one person would be my LinkedIn connection, right? And if
Right.
I actually made a long lasting impact to their life, why won't that person come and comment under that post like, yes, this was actually helpful, right? So
Right.
if you are not even getting one single comment which actually says a genuine feedback to the course or the product that you are selling, then I like to unfollow or remove those connections, so that I keep my feed more of like more humane people which actually post stuff that are relatable, and the community building kind of thing.
Like one good name I can come up with, Arpit. Uh, if you ever heard Arpit Bayani, or that's,
I
I'm not.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, you're on mute, Kushit.
Oops. Yeah, sorry, I know that database guy, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. I think we have done one session with Slaumir. He also posts like
Yes,
proper
yes, yes.
genuine
I
posts.
saw the whole podcast with Slomir
Right.
actually, and I
Yeah.
started following
Thanks.
him in LinkedIn after that.
Right. Right.
You actually
Some
watched?
people.
Come again? I didn't.
Did you actually watch that?
I watched the initial 15 minutes of it. It was a kind of in a slow pace, but then I went through. I think almost 70% I have completed. The rest I am yet to watch.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
great. People
Yeah.
are watching. We should keep doing that. Okay. So one advice, like before wrapping up the session, one advice if you are going to give to the people who actually want to come into data science or machine learning, data analysis roles, and are just preparing. So what is your one?
Yeah. Uh, Thing is, filter out all the noise and focus on things that actually matter, right? So the thing that everyone else follows, just because there are n number of people doing that same stuff, doesn't mean that's actually helpful. You do your research completely, dabble your hands, get your hands dirty, understand from your own personal perspective what actually works best for you. Then look, go and go into those skill sets, start learning upon those, be a jack of all skill sets, but select one of those skill set which actually interests you and go all in on that skill set. So that's how get that T based skill set structure. You should
Right.
know different tech stacks and different architectures and be a master of at least one of them. That's it.
Thanks.